On today's episode, we'll talk about the job of the VFX supervisor, the pros and cons of using an animatic, flight plan, Inception, and of course, turning down Forrest Gump. Just a little bit of business before we start. There may be a curse word here or there in this episode, so please listen responsibly. As always, our website, theop.io, is up and chock full of tips, tricks, and GUI operator goodness. Make sure to check out the breakdown, where the best operators in the biz explain shots they have done, the musings, where we discuss everything from quick tips to larger concepts of storytelling, the answers, the images, and so much more. I may or I may not take a break or two during this episode, but I promise that none of them will be longer than 22 seconds. Will you be in or around the Chicago area June 21st and June 22nd? If so, you've got to check out Filmscape Chicago. This year, they are hosting over 50 classes spanning all areas of production, from animation to IP law to cinematography and beyond. Plus, an exhibit floor of top manufacturers and rental houses showing the latest in gear and tech. And best of all, it's free. Register now and join in the fun at filmscapechicago.com/register. See you there. Finally, if you are enjoying the podcast, please follow us, write a review, share us with your parents, and talk us up around the water cooler with your friends. So grab a beverage, sit back, and enjoy the op. Thanks for listening.
Lock it up, nice and quiet, and let's roll. Rolling.
Victor 30 Echo, take 2.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark.
And camera set. And action.
Hello and welcome back to The Op, the podcast where we talk about operating and the art of visual storytelling. My name is Dave Kamaitis and I am your host, coming to you from the Emily Hotel in Chicago, where I'm actually doing a commercial with my guest today, who is Rob Hodgson, a VFX supervisor, who's someone that actually I haven't ever talked to anybody who's a VFX supervisor on this show, so I'm sort of excited about that. Not to mention the fact that Rob has been involved in some really cool movies. To name a few, Inception, Flight Plan, Almost Famous, which I have to ask you about because I actually think it might be the perfect movie, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, American Beauty, Waterworld, Devil's Advocate, Vanilla Sky. I mean, if you IMDb him, it's just incredible. And he's a really interesting guy, and I'm actually sort of fascinated to talk to you from my perspective and everything else. So thanks for being here.
Wow, what a great intro. Thank you.
When you say it like that, it's like, oh, that sounds kind of cool, right?
Wow, I feel important now. That's fantastic.
I have a list like this. When I come into the house now, I ask my wife to throw it. She never does it, but one of these days I'm going to try to get it done. So what's your story? How'd you get to be a VFX supervisor?
My God. Well, I came out of, I went to art school. I'd done fine art, and I went to art school and did graphic design, and there was a art school that did animation as well, and that grabbed my attention. Straight traditional cell animation.
Oh wow!
And I came out of that. It was in London in the late 80s, and I came out and I thought that traditional cell animation was too much work, which I think is absolutely it's the biggest irony of my life.
Like hand drawn?
Hand drawn, yes,
wow.
Yeah. And I did basically student films, things like that.
Yeah.
But learned, cameras and, just some basics of animation. And I came out, and a friend of a friend was working at a moving picture company, which was the post-production commercial house in the 80s.
Okay. In London?
In London.
Okay.
And it's now better known, I think, as MPC, which is a huge film powerhouse. At the time, it was just advertising, so I went in there. They just got new digital technology, which were the precursors to Flame and Nuke and these kind of things. And I thought, wow, this is a way of doing animation quickly. And because maybe I'm a little bit lazy, and of course
we all are.
it's just, and so the first 5 years of my career, I was doing just absurd hours, working on commercials, but figuring out this new technology, which was the bridge between visual effects optical printers and the digital version of optical printers.
And was it like the wild, wild west, where it was just like you were constantly figuring stuff out on the fly?
It was absolutely that, and I think that's what was the hook.
Yeah.
It was extraordinary, because every software update, it wasn't like, oh, they put a new button in and 3 that don't do anything, kind of like what happens now. This was one where, oh my God, what if I can now cut and paste. I can now
Oh my gosh,
use an
cut and
airbrush. Now I can use all the things that you can do on your phone or on your laptop for free now.
Yeah.
And these were, £500,000 computers.
Wow.
So there were very, very few of them in the world. And I just right place, right time.
Yeah.
They were looking for not an engineer to run it. They were looking for an artist. And so they said, well, you come in and you sit, and the building was full of, a lot of, dare I say, video technicians. There were a lot of creative people as well, but it was, you're an artist, come on in and sit in this box. And I think within the first 3 days, they brought clients in to sit behind me and basically figure it out. It was like total sink or swim.
Really?
Yeah. And it then got to, it just took off. But as you say, we were figuring this thing out, which was the exciting thing. It was like, what new commercial is going to come up that how can we figure out this commercial?
And was everybody just trying to like one up each other constantly?
Yes. Yeah. There were a few companies in London, and in that time, particularly, commercials were really an art form in London. They were beautiful. People would go to the movie theater to see the long version of commercials.
No way.
Yes, it was these absolutely astonishing, and feature film directors were directing them. Ridley Scott was
Scott,
is the one that always comes to mind, and so it was. So if you can do this, well, you should be able to do this. And then it was like, how do we figure out how to do it?
Wow.
And this is with these tiny frame stores that could barely hold a 30-second commercial, just single generation compositing. And as you say, it was the Wild West, and it was figuring it out with a small team of people, because there was a very, very small team of people in the world who knew how to use these machines.
Like when you say small team of people, like 100 people, or?
So at MPC at the time, there were, I think, 3 of us who knew how to use these machines. Gosh. Yeah. And the video editors at the time, a couple of them made that transition across over to these systems. Yeah. They were primarily Quantel systems. They were called, Quantel Paintbox, Quantel Harry, Quantel Henry, all the precursors of Flame and Nuke. Yeah.
Wow.
And
did you do a lot of music videos as well back then? Because that sounds like they would be doing stuff.
So we did do music videos, but the thing that really paid were commercials.
Sure. Yeah,
and
music videos don't pay anything.
So we were, being in our 20s, music videos would come in, but generally they couldn't afford to use the systems
because it was so advanced. Yeah,
it was so advanced, and they could charge so much because the machines were so expensive.
Yeah. Wow.
A lot of the times it was in conjunction with motion control rigs.
Yeah.
So that was a big coupling. You do motion control shots for various reasons, and then do the compositing of that. Whereas before, you would do that in a video editing bay, and you'd lose generations each time you layered 1, 2, 3, 4, like a photocopy of a photocopy, of course. And suddenly it was like you're in an all digital environment, so you can just layer upon layer upon layer,
and it doesn't affect.
And it doesn't affect.
That must have been. It's so funny because we don't even think of it now, right? Like you said, you can do it on your phone.
I mean, it
must have been mind-boggling.
You can literally do it on your phone.
Do you remember any project where someone came to you with something just like, I have no idea how to do this, and you guys figured it out, like something that was like brand new and groundbreaking? Might not be a fair question to put on you that long ago.
It's so interesting. I mean, one springs to mind. There was a music video that we did that actually never got aired for legal reasons, but we basically there's a series. There's some artists called Gilbert and George, and they were very. It almost looks like stained glass windows, kind of very graphic stained glass windows. And we did a music video. A friend of mine brought it in, and we did it the weekend. And it was, it was all above board, but we did it, and we put in, hundreds of hours onto this thing. And it was, you looked at it, and we basically shot them. One of the attractions to MPC at the time is they had a stage. They had a couple of stages, motion control stage, in the middle of London. They had this big stage,
which is rare,
which is very rare. I mean, it's almost unheard of now, just the cost of rent and everything.
Space and everything, yeah.
But that was one of the attractions. Wow, we can shoot things, and then we can put it into this box, and we can do these magical things that people literally have not seen this before.
Cool.
And so I remember that particular one where it was we literally just shot them against a blue cyc and would, basically then cut them out and keep them together. And we'd come up with these graphic shapes. And again, fresh out of art school where I'd been doing graphic design as well as animation, it was like, okay, this is just a dream come true.
Well, it's probably like a no rules also, right? Like it's just like...
Yeah, it's if you can do that, hang on a second, why can't we do this?
Exactly.
Why can't we do this? Which was kind of interesting. Of course,
great.
after this, I'll think of the really great example.
No, of course,
but that was the
I
one
put you
that
on
just,
the spot. So
just sprang to mind.
So
And
how long were you with them?
I was actually there for 6 years, and honestly, I was so burnt out from it. It was I think that the record, which was 160-hour week on the box.
Oh my God.
And it was one where it was...
Wait, when you say on the box, you mean like sitting in front of the
sitting
computer?
in front of it, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
horrific.
It was so horrific, and it was on some great projects, which,
Sure.
we'd go up and the whole of the show reel of the company was, between me and these two other guys.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was great. Young, early 20s, and it would win the awards, and it was interesting, and it was very creative, but it was like, everything around me was falling apart. My relationships, friendships.
How could you even have any at that?
Yeah.
Something like that? But that's part of the problem of loving what you do, right? Because it's hard to like turn it off or find the line or whatever. I don't know what the word is.
I think it's interesting. I mean, and it was something that my it was just a complete departure from what I knew, and people couldn't really relate to it.
Yeah.
So you kind of ended up, I don't know if it's a sort of trauma bond as well thrown in there a little bit. I'm literally still in touch with, the people that I was there with, in the 1980s. But so what I did was I actually decided I want to go work in feature films.
Okay.
And I also just need a break from London, and it was actually probably more the advertising thing rather than that. Mm-hmm. And the only place that was doing digital film at the time was Los Angeles. And,
is that right? Okay. This is when?
This was like 93.
Okay.
And so I came. I want to work on Star Wars. I want to go work for ILM and all of these things. And I went to ILM, and I basically just kind of cold called them and just showed up, and I had this reel of stuff that they'd done in commercials,
which nobody has really done anything like this.
Nobody
right?
Seen anything like that.
That's amazing.
And they apparently had shown it at one of their dailies, and they were all just speechless from it.
That's so cool.
And now again, I didn't direct these spots. It was wonderful directors I worked with, but it was we put this together and we put the hours in, and we made these, at the they were just groundbreaking things.
Yeah.
And ILM was kind of, this is great. This is really great, but we don't have the job for you at the moment. We don't have it was basically, we don't have the technology at the moment.
We can't give you what
we
to
can't
do.
give you, we don't, there's not a seat for you to do what you do here. And again, I mean, the obvious thing which you'll immediately get is, you work in commercials, the resolution is lower, and therefore computers can work fast enough at the time.
Right. Yeah.
So commercials were ahead of the game.
Sure.
There were even, very early, film scanners there as well. But at the time, we were just using, it's basically digital video.
Yeah.
So it was, yes, we would shoot on film. We transfer, through a telecine, and it would become, it would go onto videotape.
But again, just
digital
because it's
videotape.
just 30 seconds and
It's 30 seconds, and also, I mean, it was
low res.
PAL, so it was like 720 by whatever.
Gotcha.
And so
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
786. Sorry, the
Yeah.
people will know. I say
that's
you
all
don't
right.
even know what PAL is anymore.
I have no
I
idea.
have
what
no
PAL
idea.
is.
So it was that compared to, at the minimum 2K, or we say 4K TVs now, which is 4,000 pixels, and we were dealing with 720 pixels.
Yeah, sure.
So you suddenly go, wow, computers could therefore play back in PAL 25 frames a second.
Yep.
And so the computer could do that. Whereas for film, where it was just much larger, it couldn't do that, and they were still figuring out film scanning.
So they basically just, the computer processing power wasn't to the level for films that you needed for it to be.
That's perfectly summarized.
And out of curiosity, like, was ILM, as far as movies back then, like the golden...
It was absolutely...
The Holy Grail kind of?
It was the Holy Grail.
Yeah, okay.
And it was, I mean, it's almost a cliche.
Yeah.
Oh, why did you get into visual effects? Oh, I got into visual effects because I saw Star Wars. And you kind of, even when I hear that, I roll my eyes. It was like, of course you did.
Come on.
It's like, of course
people
you
of
did.
a certain age.
And yeah, that's exactly it. And I love Star Wars. It wasn't the driving force. It was just, I could see the springboard. It was like, hang on a sec. And bless advertising. It's wonderful. This was suddenly, hang on a sec. This is a film that it will live forever. This film, it could be a crap film, so it won't. But this film could live forever. And they were absolutely the gold standard, as you say. They were,
amazing.
And so long and the short of it is that I then came to LA. I given my reel to a couple of people in LA as well, commercial houses, and they immediately just said, no, we want you to come. We have a system that you can sit on, but lets you experience. And again, because of the advertising and just because of was it 10,000 hours, I was just a step ahead. And so, I got a visa. I came over and I was like, okay, I'll do this until the job from ILM comes.
Yeah.
ILM then gets back in touch with me, like, I think it was 10 months later or something. We got an interesting project that we think you might want to work on, and it's called Forrest Gump. And of course, now you're going to go, oh my God, you didn't do Forrest Gump. And at the time, it's like any movie, when you work on it, you know what that's like.
You have no idea.
You have no idea. No idea if someone's offering you, whatever, the extremes. So, but two things that happened. It's a long answer to a short question.
It's great. I love this. It's fantastic.
But what actually happened there was that in the interim, I actually met my wife in LA.
As it happens.
Yes. And a second thing that happened was a London-based company called Computer Film Company had set up an office in LA.
Oh, okay.
And it was a very small company, and it was why didn't you come and join us if you want to stay in LA and do film? And they were literally the only other place really that did it. The other companies, it's not exactly true. There are other companies that had
they weren't on that level
system,
yet,
but they weren't at that level. You're just starting to get, Flame coming through, and the film version of it was called Inferno at the time.
So succinctly, you turned down Forrest Gump to take a job with a company I've never heard of.
Yes, that's exactly
and
right.
How much does that plague you?
It's kind of interesting, actually.
We've all done that.
That's really that's beautifully put.
I didn't mean. I don't mean it that
way. And of course, my children thank me for not walking and heading up to San Francisco.
No, absolutely. Everything happens for a reason. But that must still get to you every once in a while. Because
it's interesting the choices you make.
Yeah.
And this one was a couple of other things helped in the two decisions. One, to come to Los Angeles in the first place, and the company I worked for I saw what they had been working on, and it was a Joe Pitka spot called Air Jordan.
Oh yeah, Joe Pickett was like the king of commercials.
King of commercials.
Also a little crazy.
Yeah, and he was doing this thing with some friends. This company had brought me over, and they said, we've got this great job, and I'd seen this thing. It's Bugs Bunny plays basketball with Michael Jordan.
Oh, I remember.
And he goes, that sounds familiar, and the first one they had done, and I'd seen it in London, and I looked, and the work was so good that they had done that I said, okay, if I'm going to go to California, that's the company I want to work. If it's not ILM.
So this was a series of them, and they'd already done some of them?
So they'd done one of them called Air Jordan, which was just the original one.
Yeah.
And then they said, Rob, if you come over and join us, you can work on, we've got a new one called Aerospace Jordan.
Sure. Okay.
And of course, Aerospace Jordan was basically, it's Space Jam, of course.
Of course, yeah.
And that was...
Is this pre-Roger Rabbit?
Post-Roger Rabbit.
Post-Roger Rabbit.
Yes,
okay.
Because the amazing thing, of course, about Roger Rabbit, which is, again, I probably put that even higher in ILM's achievements, was...
It's unbelievable.
It was done on an optical printer.
I know. It's amazing.
Which is absolutely mind-blowing.
I interviewed Terrence Nightingale a while ago, who used to pull focus for me and is now a camera operator. But he was, I think, a focus puller on Roger Rabbit. And he said that, Bob Hoskins would go in and sort of figure out what he had to do, and then physically do the things, and then they would. I mean, it's amazing that it holds up. by the way.
It's still absolutely mind blowing.
Astounding.
Yeah, astounding. They moved they broke all the rules.
They did. Yeah.
We can move the camera,
Yep.
and we will animate frame by frame to move in perspective.
It's incredible. Yeah.
The shadowing, everything is absolutely unbelievable. So it's post was
Gotcha.
the answer.
Okay, yeah.
And so it was one of those where we can do this work. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit here. But so the commercial, the Aerospace Journal, that was a commercial I was doing in LA.
Yeah.
And but again, that was the sort of preemptor of Space Jam, whatever. But again, ILM can do this on film, and they can do a Roger Rabbit, which is, just
It's on another level.
It's on another level.
Yeah.
And so I went to work for them. Again, I was following good work, and they had just finished the work on Hudsucker Proxy.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Amazing.
Just absolutely phenomenal. Yannick says, an old friend, and he was at Computer Film Company.
That's
and
so cool.
he went on to The Matrix, and I mean, he's just, just a great guy. And so they basically had done just finished Hudsucker Proxy. And so I went there, I think I was there for about 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. And it was there that, so what Computer Film Company did, they ultimately became part of Framestore, I'm pretty sure. It was,
which is another digital company.
Which is another digital company, which is a very strong company based in the UK. They have offices over here as well, but so it kind of got sort of merged into them.
But
through
mostly
the years.
still doing commercials.
No, so Computer Film Company was all film.
Oh, okay.
And what Computer Film Company had done was they figured out film scanners.
Yeah.
So their film scanners were absolutely phenomenal. They had. They designed their own compositing system that could work at film resolution. Oh, wow. So they were way ahead of the game.
So what kind of movies did they do?
They had done, they did Hudsucker Proxy.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And that was a digital thing. They had, off the top of my head, they had worked on James Bond movies. They had, they were the sort of the niche company that people in the know knew to go to, but It was like there's this little London company that does boutique. It was a total boutique company, and so they were just attracting a lot of work. Either European jobs, some of the small ones, and then that transitioned into projects over in LA. So we were working on. I mean, we did the compositing on Braveheart. We did Armageddon. We did some of the, big movies like that, big, Schwartz True Lies. There were, projects that we did that were worked on like that. And, they'd figured it out. What I meant to say was that their compositing system, they built it. I mean, it was extraordinary. They took, from what I understand, it was ex-military imaging systems, and they had it was all script driven. So it was like writing effectively lines of code. Wow. It took me, I think it was like 8 months to learn it. I mean, it was really difficult. And I'd used to something like Flame, where you just basically touch menus and
it's like a Mac basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this was basically writing lines of code, and it was extraordinarily difficult. I found it was square peg round hole. Yeah. But as a result, it was learning it, seeing things from a completely different perspective, and seeing at a very granular level. Yeah. So you suddenly fully understand. I mean, I did a 70mm 3D ride for Disneyland, and this was like in the late 90s. Yeah. And so it was their scanner could scan 70mm. I mean, it's just extraordinary. And you could work at this ultra high resolution, and it was just, they were just ahead of their time. So
let me ask you a question, because when you say that, it makes me think of something, and maybe this isn't right, I don't know. But if you're writing with Flame, you're like, I mean, I don't know Flame, but it seems like it's more like a Mac thing where
you're more menu driven.
Yeah,
sure.
And you're dragging stuff, like you said, and whatever. Yeah. When you're writing code and you're creating pictures, I guess, or images with code, like, how does it what's the gap between being a technician and being an coming back to being an artist, like which is where you came from? Like, is that does it naturally occur, or is it a learned?
It's an interesting thing because I think that one of the appeals of the industry, I think, is it uses both sides of the brain.
Clearly.
And I think that the writing code side of it was, again, this was sort of the 1990s, so this was just not common.
Yeah.
And it was it's actually Yannick who I mentioned. I always thought that this was funny. We did that. We basically had the exact same job. We go out and shoot the material. We'd be effects supervisors out on stage or on location, and we'd come back, and then we'd run the team, or we'd actually do shots ourselves.
Yeah.
And he had, forgive me if I get this wrong, he had a double major in physics, and mine was an arts degree.
So he had a leg up on you on that side.
It was kind of interesting because there were jobs that he would absolutely gravitate toward, very technical jobs, and he's also got a fantastic eye, but he would do it coming from a very technical perspective.
Yeah, sure.
And mine was, I gravitated towards the jobs that was like, well, let's just see how this works.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I always thought it was interesting when we're doing the same job and we've come from very different backgrounds. And it's something that always, when people say, so what should my son or daughter do at college if they want to go into visual effects?
Yeah.
And I often bring up that story and I go,
who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
And of course, at the time, there were no visual effects degrees or anything like that. Now you can go to school for visual effects.
Yeah.
But
when you showed up in those early days on movies as the VFX supervisor, and I remember it was like, all right, nail down the camera and give us the angles and have tracking part. And now it's just like, nah, do whatever you want. Like, it's so unbelievably different. But did people sort of, were there people who resented you at first? And I don't mean that in a negative way, but like suddenly it's like this whole, sometimes it became this whole other, it's like this job is hard enough and now this person needs all these things done. Like, were people cool with it because they knew what they were doing, or was it totally foreign?
I think it's as the industry's matured, people are more used to what we do on set.
Well, that's what I was asking, but in the early days, was it like,
in the early days, you would have, I think I learned very quickly that the set is just a hierarchy all of its own.
Oh yeah.
And
it's a serfdom.
It's a serfdom. Oh, that's much better. That's beautifully put. And that you walk into it and you don't realize, and even, effects supervisors are out there for the first time, they walk into it just blindly, and they don't realize that you have this ability to short circuit all of this, which can, of course, create chaos. Yeah. And I can always tell when, I think I said this just the other day, I walked on set, and I go, someone said, this is great. I just love the way it is. Great that you're on set. I love your style, something like that. And I said, sounds like the last person you worked with
was the wrong person.
Was the wrong person. You can always tell.
Well, that's the best job to get, right? It's like right after
you come right after it.
You just don't have to screw up.
And you come in and you put your hands up. Really, don't shoot me. You could shoot the last guy, but don't shoot me.
Well, I think the reason that I ask it, and I may remember, I'm fairly certain I do remember some of these times, like where it's like we'd have the VFX person coming up to the DP going, there's not enough light.
Yeah.
And depending on the DP, it's like, who the hell are you?
Oh my God.
But at the same time, you clearly need more light because you know what you have to do down the road, and there. It's
so difficult, and I think it's. There's no single train. The only way to understand how the set works is you have to be on set.
Yeah.
And so it's almost catch-22. Well, no one's going to let you out on set until you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then gradually, as it's more lower price of entry, ease of entry,
sure.
And a small visual effects house, and it's like, well, this is the junior flame guy, but he needs the experience. So when you go out on set, this should be easy. And suddenly you have someone walking out on set with very little experience.
Yeah.
And you can, whether it's whatever the commercial is, you can be out there with an Academy Award winning director of photography, and director and a crew, and it's
You're suddenly having to tell them what to do. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so someone walking into that, not understanding the hierarchy, and, I've seen it. I've taken people out, and, it's almost like, okay, yeah, I'll take this person out, but I know this person has a loaded gun. And it's like, I have to
take them out to set.
Take them out to set to train them.
To train them.
But many people have said, no, I really wanted to go out. And I go, okay, that's great. You can be my extra pair of hands. This is great. You can, I can teach you how to do this, or you spin the silver ball, whatever. And, then I turn around and go, oh my God, who are they talking to now? And I go, oh no, where are they standing?
Why are you talking to Vilma Sigmund right now?
Exactly. Don't. And so I kind of run and jump on him like a live hand grenade, or her, and say, no, just don't stand right. Don't lean on the director's chair, lean forward, and try and stare at his monitor or her monitor. Yeah. It's just, it's a protocol, it's an etiquette, it's a courtesy, it's a hierarchy. And I think that we were offered certainly this extraordinary privilege to be able to go in, and you actually can go in and stop things.
Yeah.
And just say, this is just not going to work.
Yeah.
And obviously through the years, if I do my job right, I know I don't have to stand in front of the moving train. It's like, no, I realize that doesn't work well.
You can pull on the caboose a little bit.
Exactly. And I did a film in Italy many years ago, and someone was saying to me, but isn't it great? Afterwards, they said, isn't it great? You get to design these shots, and you get to, it was a very creative, magical spot. And I said, you know what the truth is? I spend 95% of my day on the politics of getting this done.
Really?
And 5% of it, and we were doing very complex stuff. I mean, this was in 2000, 2001. So it was very much, you had to put in certain controls and aspects and things like that. And it was like, no, it was 95% of the time you're doing that.
And when you say the politics, you mean like dealing with egos and letting people have their say, but still guiding in the direction.
That was it. That was it. And it was. I mean, it was also Italy, which is very, even more maybe clear cut. It's probably about the same as America. I don't know. But so no, it was all of the things, figuring out people's agendas.
Yep. Reading the room, which is what we do all the time.
Reading the room, Dave. That's the perfect phrase. It's reading the room, timing, and preparation. Yep. All the things that we all know, but it's there's no point where you have to jump with both feet. And and again, I look at some crews you can tell have just come off a show with someone who's just less experienced or whatever, and it's like, oh my God, is this guy going to suddenly say, for this shot at midnight, we need to get a 20-foot green screen, 40-foot green screen in there. He's going to come up with some crap like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I can see you've been, you have the wounds and the scars from someone like that. So it's all the planning. And
I did a show years ago that I won't say too much about because I don't want to. But we were doing a shot inside on stage. It was inside the front windows of a 747 jet. So like they're those like really thin windows, right?
Yeah.
And the animatic that they showed us, that the VFX guy showed us, we're down inside the windows, down looking on the on the joystick or whatever they call it, the throttle, I guess. And the guy's pushing the throttle forward. And we come up to his face, we pull out through the window, we come down the front of the nose of the thing, and then we shoot up in a very specific way so that they can then make it look like the plane is diving.
Oh, okay.
And they went through all this thing.
Yeah.
And so, they show it to us, and I go, well, I don't know. I mean, these windows are like, they're like 1.5 feet high. I mean, there's nothing there. And so we worked on the camera forever. We got it down as thin, and we got it within an inch, and we got it down there, and we couldn't quite get it over. And the director said, no, it's okay if it's on a little bit of an angle. It doesn't go straight down. And we did the whole move, and we got it, and it was great. And the VFX guy came over to me, and he goes, well, but the animatic is different. And I was like,
oh my God.
I said, because I thought it was, and I said, oh no, the director said we didn't have to be straight down on the things. We could be 3/4. And he goes, no, that's not the problem. And I said, well, what's the problem? And he goes, well, look at the animatic, because it pulls back and then it immediately pushes forward. And I said, okay. And he said, but you actually stopped for a split second. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, in order to change directions, we kind of have to, but I said, if you want, we could come down and sort of create an arc and start pushing it. And he goes, well, and he shows it to me again. He goes, it's not an arc. It's a straight line, but it never stops. And I was like, but that doesn't take physics into account. And he just sort of looked at me, and the director came over and said, what's the problem? And I remember he was a friend of mine. I said, why don't the two of you talk? And I sort of walked away. And a couple minutes, the director came over to me and he goes, what's the problem with that guy? And I said, look, I'm not getting into it. But it was so funny because I was like, look, I totally want to give you exactly what you want, but that's not possible in the world we live in.
It is. It's extraordinary. And it still happens.
Well, I think people get tunnel vision, with stuff, right?
Perfectly put. And I try and always preempt it when it's, when you're in that moment, you say, but on the boards, and my line, it will always be, I know the boards are just a guideline.
Yeah,
but just a thought, you had included this in your framing, and
exactly.
Did you want us to put that in, or are we going to? So no, the previous thing is the one, it's just,
it's a guide.
It's a guide. And some said, this is great. And the day you shoot it, you toss it all away.
Well, and the weird thing is I've found that I love previses and I hate them. By the way, for anybody who's listening who doesn't know, a previs is basically like a little animation of usually a stunt, but not always a stunt, or something that involves
something quite technical often. Yeah.
So that we can all kind of look at it and be talking about the same thing. And the director has worked with someone to create it. But it's like sometimes, especially when it gets to my point, like the windows. It was like, well, this is great, but nobody took into account the size of the camera. So we have to make it up. And sometimes it's great, but then there are some people who get so locked into it that they'll go, but there's this great thing happening here, and they can't see it because they're only seeing the previs. So it's pluses and minuses, right?
Yeah. It's really interesting, and it's like any tool, use it the right way, and it's just it can be a huge benefit. As you say, if someone plays it once, you go, okay, let me watch it again. You go, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
And this is the point of the shot. This is that's what it is. It's you interpret and you go, this is the story point we're trying to say.
Exactly.
And that's the important thing, whether it's down, and of course, the guy with the previs have been able to just do, a keyframe here and a keyframe here, and it bounces back and forth.
Exactly. Well, and the other thing is also like, they're doing that in some office somewhere, they're not on set with the actors and seeing it, where suddenly it becomes a completely different thing, and then you adapt to that, and that's just the way it is. But that, that was one specific, but I thought you would get a kick out of that. So when you're a VFX supervisor for a show, first of all, are you on months ahead of time usually? Like, are you on
So
ideally, I should say.
Ideally, yeah. So it depends what
if it's a big VFX show.
So it's a big VFX show. Yes, I can be brought in, maybe in 6 months before you start shooting.
Oh, really?
And quite often, we look at it and we go, really, when I'm brought on, the production designer will have been brought on already. Obviously, the directors will be there, and the production designer will already be up and running, figuring things out. Yeah. Then we'll come in. The difference then being is that as soon as you stop shooting, production designer's on to the next show.
Sure.
And we then continue maybe for another year at the end doing the post on it.
Yeah.
So oftentimes, along with the director, we're on the show for the longest.
Gotcha.
But no, I can be... I think I was on. So I did pre-production on Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and the original film, Doug Lyman film. Yeah. And so I was on that for, I think it was 5 months, and so that was one where we plotted a lot of stuff out previs wise, and it was storyboard and previs, all of that, because a lot of that was very technical.
Sure.
And so it was basically working with the production designer, looking and go, how are we going to? I seem to remember there's a big elevator scene in that. It's like, what are we going to build? And
what are you going to build, and what are we going to build?
Exactly. That's exactly it. And it's like, so these are the shots that you want. This is the set piece you're going to have to build, and this is the this is what we'll then extend in CG, or this is we'll build on a gimbal, or this. So that was
it's a constant back and forth.
It's constant back and forth.
And then are you looking at it and going, well, actually, I can probably do this better and faster this way, so why don't we take over this part? And I mean, is it sort of...
It's interesting because I think also, things have changed. I go, the industry has matured and visual effects have matured. So it ends up being... It's just much more knowledge out there of
what's possible.
Of what's possible, exactly, and the cost of things.
Sure.
And it's one of those where I know that even scenes will get rewritten because they're too expensive to do. Do we have to build the whole side of the ship, or do we shoot them on green, or do we shoot them on, a 20-foot square of a piece of ship?
It's funny because I was thinking before we were talking today about how overwhelming that must be. But then it also occurred to me, you and I are working right now in this commercial with Bill Pope. And Bill and I were just talking the other day, and we were like, look, all we do is problem solve. It's creative. But essentially what we're doing is we want to make X. And how do we problem solve all the things that will get us to that? And it's the same. It's the same sort of thing.
Oh, I think that's what the constant challenge is.
Yeah.
And it's like whatever, whether it's a commercial, whether it's a film, whatever.
Yeah.
Where we all have these tools. We all know, okay, what's the story we're trying to tell? What's the story with each of the shots? And then, okay, so with our schedule now, how can we adapt it to still tell the same story more efficiently, because we don't have this time, we don't have this money, whatever. And it's fascinating. And of course, filmmaking is this great collaboration, isn't it?
Which is what keeps it interesting.
It keeps it interesting. And I know it's, the script through the storyboard and, the previs were saying it's just one of the tools.
Yeah.
And there are moves that I worked on, there's been not a single bit of previs done, and there's been move. Generally, it will always be storyboarded, not a talking head sequence necessary, but the action or the visual effects pieces.
Sure.
And of course, it all depends who the director is.
Yeah.
But
and so, and this may not be a fair question, but if it's a big VFX sequence, do you usually go into it without completely understanding whether you can do it?
I think now there's always a way to do it. It's rare that there's something that you go, oh, how are we going to do this?
Okay. Just because so much has been done at this point?
So much has been done. I can remember, there was a shot on Flight Plan that was the one that kept me awake at night to try and figure it out.
What was the shot?
And it was a shot.
Flight Plan was the movie where he turns the plane upside down. No, that was Flight. What was Flight Plan?
So Flight Plan was Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And retelling of it's basically is a retelling of a different of an older story.
Okay.
And of course, I've forgotten the name of the story.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, whatever. So it was Jodie Foster, and basically a child goes missing on a plane, on a transatlantic flight.
Yeah, I remember.
And the airplane is a double-decker airplane, like the A380.
Yeah.
But at the time, this was early 2000s, I think the A380 had barely come out, so it's an all-new airplane.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be, she was an engineer on this airplane.
Okay.
So she knew the airplane.
So that was part of the story.
But that was part of the story. Yeah. But it basically was a double-decker airplane. All of it. There were two levels to the plane.
Yeah.
An upper and a lower level. And they basically built one level of the plane.
Okay.
But what they wanted to show was in one shot, her walking from the top level down the stairs into the bottom level.
And you physically only have one level.
Physically only had one level. And it was very clever how it was designed, but basically it was, we'll redress the same set piece to begin with, I think we did the bottom first, with a staircase that goes up.
Yep.
And a spiral staircase. And then you go off and shoot a bunch of stuff on location, come back. We're going to redress it now. The staircase will appear like it goes down. And upstairs is first class, so it's much plusher, and it's got a bar, and downstairs is, it economy or whatever like that. And so the two pieces, it it was basically only one level.
Yeah.
And it was, how can we follow her
In
from
one
the
shot.
top level down the spiral staircase.
Yep.
Sorry, it might have been a straight case, whatever.
What?
Down the staircase.
Yeah.
But it was that a leading shot?
Yep.
Basically, we're pulling her down, so her face is in frame the whole time.
So there's no cut. There's no
cut.
So how did you end up figuring it out? What'd you end up doing?
So it ended up, it was previs,
Yeah.
and so we prevised it, and it turned out in the stage, I go, is the room, it was basically just coming from the bar on the top deck down the stairs into the bottom, and it was whole scene, upstairs, and then she's in the bar, and then we have to lead her down the stairs to the down level, and so we actually prevised it with the lenses, the correct lenses, correct position, and what we managed to do was, when it was dressed for the bottom deck, there was just enough room in the stage to build a fraction of the bar that she was in.
Okay.
So then there was a cut in there before she turned and came down the stairs.
Yep.
But we literally made a box of the bar that was 10 foot by 10 foot. So there was enough, and a ceiling piece.
Yeah.
So as you went down the stairs, of course, you tilt up,
Sure.
and you're looking at the ceiling. And as soon as we prevised it, we realized, actually, this is all we're going to see.
Yeah.
But it will, you've done cut, up in the top. Then she turns to camera, and then we follow her down.
So it wasn't even it wasn't a digital effect in the long run. It's just you figured it out because you
That's
thought
exactly
it might be.
it.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And
I'm gonna have to look at. Actually, I'll post that shot on here. When we
So
do it. That's great.
it was one where my only mistake on that, I took 3 months to figure it out. And of course, you're looking and go, why did it take him 3 months? This is so obvious.
Well, but sometimes the obvious thing doesn't come to you.
That's exactly
That's
it.
wonderful.
And it was because we were literally there on the stage going, could we just I just need a little piece.
Yeah.
This tiniest little set piece. And prevised it and figured it out and went through it. And then I basically rehearsed it, and we were shooting one part of it. And the one person I hadn't described the process of how we were going to do it was Jodie Foster. And so she literally brought everything to a grinding halt and said, I don't think we should do it this way. And so, that was, yes. So I learned a good lesson there.
That's a big part of it.
It's read the room.
Yep.
Definitely read the room.
Read the right room.
Yeah, read the right room. And when you have Jodie Foster, who has huge experience, obviously in every single manner. She's one of my absolute heroes of the stage.
So you ended up not doing the shot that way?
No, we did do it that way.
Oh, you did do it. Okay, so it came back around. But
it came back around.
Right.
But that was one of those moments where it's
great.
like I'd been talking about it to, I thought, everyone in the world I've described, lighting all of the departments I'd spoken to. The one key.
A big one. Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is, with other actors, you probably wouldn't have had to say anything, but she's a very smart, involved...
Exactly. A director. She's done all these wonderful movies with visual effects. Just mass. I mean,
that's
how can you describe Jodie? Everyone.
No, that's fantastic. So I have to ask you about Inception. When you read that script, did you understand it?
Oh my gosh, what a gift that was. It was some old friends at Double Negative involved me in that project.
Yeah.
And I was brought in as one of the visual effects supervisors on it. Paul Franklin headed the team, and I went in and I said, can I read the script? So I actually had to come into the studio. I couldn't take the script away, and one of those, and read it, and was stood up and just thought, if you can pull it off, this is obviously this is just a groundbreaking movie.
Yeah.
And I could not understand how you could, because it was so complex in the writing.
Well, I guess that's what I was wondering. Is like, I mean, and the other question that I have is like, can you read a script like Inception without trying to think of how are we going to do this? Like, can you turn that off?
Because it was such an incredibly unique script, and it was it was so. It was really hard to follow.
The movie's
honestly,
hard to follow, so that's why I was wondering, like, the script without visuals.
I mean, and of course, you know, I've read it numbers of times since, and of course, you get more and more. It's like watching it, and it's a movie that is made to be watched a number of times.
Question about it.
And but no, when I read it, it was like, okay, well, I've obviously got to work on this movie if I can possibly work on it. And it was just an absolute dream to be a part of that project.
I can only imagine. Yeah,
it was a dream. Look at that. I actually said it. It was a dream to be part of that project.
That I can only imagine. Yeah. I have to ask you about Almost Famous because I'm not sure what you did in Almost Famous.
so Almost Famous. So what did I do in Almost Famous? Let me think. There was some plane shots we did on that.
Oh yeah,
they're in. Oh
yeah,
yes,
yeah. When the plane's hitting turbulence and going
that's
down.
Exactly it.
Okay,
and we there's it's amazing. All of these shots have stories behind them. But no, there was the plane. There was we did a bunch of crowd work. There's a crowd where it's an homage to, I think, a Neil Young
concert or something?
Sleeve of a record.
Okay.
And Cameron Crowe had set it up to be this homage, this whole shot.
Yeah.
And so we'd shot tiles of crowds. Oh, this was old school, it's going back a few years. So the crowd systems weren't what they are now.
Yeah.
Where you look and you go, okay, well, in Maya and there are Gollum, there are a number of systems that you can use to generate crowds.
Yeah. But back then it was
procedural. Back then, the way to do it was you shot the people in different positions and then composite them together, split them together.
Sure.
And I seem to remember we'd made beach balls to be bounced around between the people to join the tiles.
That's great.
And then it was blending in the sort of light flashes, things like that.
Yeah.
So it was crowd work. There was some strange things. There was the airplane stuff, the flying airplane stuff. We actually did another whole shot for that, which was a fascinating shot where we built a whole CG plane being sucked up into the clouds.
Yeah.
And it was one of those that you just do many, many, many iterations all right to the end. And in the end, we used a day for night shot. We just made a shot day for night and of something that they'd shot. It
and
was
all
just
that work is for nothing.
It was, and of course you look at it and you go, well, that's the genius of, the director is they can look and just go, this just is now out of place in my story.
Yeah.
And that was great. And again, it was just to work with Cameron Crowe.
I only ask because I honestly think that may be a perfect movie. I love that movie.
I can watch it so many times.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I always tell people is the scene where she's having her stomach pumped in the bathroom and they're pushing into his eyes on the couch and Tiny Dancer is playing. It's like the whole thing. It's incredible. It's an amazing movie.
It's absolutely. I do remember my little movie sort of fanboy thing was we were there and we were showing some of the shots of it. And Cameron was there writing on a notepad, and he was going, "I just not sure what to call the movie." And
no way.
And he was there with the notepad, and I don't know if you remember the title sequence, but it's like a little yellow legal notepad.
Sure. Yeah.
And he's writing it, and that became the titles.
That's what that. Oh,
wow! But he was there, literally just writing out the titles, because I think it was going to be Stillwater at one point.
I was going to wonder. If it was Stillwater.
Stillwater, Almost Famous, and he was going, what do you think? And I'm just going, okay, this is just amazing. He's actually asking me what to call the name of this movie. And, so, no, I again, one of my
his name's Almost Famous because of you. That's what you're saying.
Thank you. I named it. That's right. But again, it was one, and chronologically, I don't recall which one came first, but then I worked with him on Vanilla Sky, which was...
huge movie.
It was just a huge movie, and it was like we were, shot in Times Square.
Yeah.
And I think there was a time for years after I go shoot in New York again. I'd mentioned, last time I was here in New York, it was Vanilla Sky, and everyone would go, "Oh my God, we've never shut down Times Square." It was like 8 blocks, all directions.
That's
insanity.
The most they've ever done.
That was the most they've ever done.
That's amazing.
And that was actually the first time I'd been in Times Square.
Oh wow!
And I was standing there
what a treat.
With no one for 8 blocks all around.
Tom
Tom Cruise pulls in the Ferrari.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, okay, this feels a little Hollywood.
I know, right?
It's one
This
of
is a
those
really cool
moments
job I have.
where you go, hey, okay, this is...
It makes up for all the other times you're like, I hate this job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As I said, it's the love-hate of the industry.
No, that's
It's,
very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. What about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
Oh my god! So it's an interesting one. I know. And we touched on this the other day.
Yeah.
It's Ang Lee was my regrets. I never got to work with him again. It was a low budget movie, and it was all shot in China. And I think I was working on American Beauty at the same time. I was working on. It was just crazy. And at the time, it's another movie. It's the next project you're working on, whatever. And it was producer at the time came through and said, "Yeah, if you're going to China," I'm going like, "You're kidding, right?" And this was 2000 or 1999 or something like that. And it's like, no, seriously, it's being shot in China, and it's this, it's martial arts, and it's this, that, and the other. And it was just one of those projects that was, again, you kind of think, well, it feels very, very different, this. And at the time, subtitled movies, foreign pictures particularly in the US, were not that popular.
They were art house movies.
Yeah, they're art house
movies. They didn't make money, and
that's exactly
they didn't
it.
win Academy Awards.
That's exactly it. And I think, growing up in Europe, where it was like, okay, it's a French movie, we're a little more used to it.
Yeah.
But here it's kind of like, so my day was, well, this is great, but it's subtitled.
I have to read.
Yeah. So I went out to China, and I'd actually prevised and these two characters are skiing through the treetops of this green forest, and I'm like, what?
Is that what it was called?
It was like skiing through the treetops.
What does that
mean? I'm like, what? And so I did previs, and we sent it off, and then it was. And again, this was sort of just uploading and downloading. So we literally do it. We put it on a tape and ship it, and, all of that. And he come back and go, yeah. And it ended up, his original storyboards are pretty much identical to what we shot. I mean, it was very, very,
so
very
he
close.
knew that movie. I mean,
he knew that movie. Yeah. He'd storyboarded it beautifully. So we had prevised it. And again, at a time where things weren't previs that often. So we did that. And anyway, went out to China, and which was it was an incredible experience, absolutely incredible experience. And again, to China, I was back there, like 2-3 years ago. It's almost like a different country. I mean, it's absolutely extraordinary.
Changed. Absolutely. So
absolutely extraordinary.
You got a little look into a capsule.
Look into a capsule. Yeah. It was extraordinary. Went out there, and shot with the crew. We were there for, it was like 4 or 5, whatever. Weren't there for the whole production. We were there for a chunk of the visual effects. They kind of tried to put it all
at once. Yeah.
Yeah, and brought it all back, put it all together, and I can remember there was a couple of shots that we had sent out of house for some specific work, and they just did not work out. So I ended up, as at the time when I was still working on the box.
Yeah.
So I actually I was redoing them at nighttime, and it was like, okay, this is like, we've got like 3 days to deliver it, and it's literally, then you got to, output the film, and then we got to courier it, and then you've got to see it. It was this long process. And so I can remember sitting there at 3 a.m. as I was kind of just, my eyes, trying to keep my eyes open, putting it together, thinking, no one outside of China is ever going to see this.
Why am I doing this?
Why am I doing this? Why am I putting all of this effort to get this absolutely right?
There's a lesson to be learned in that, right?
You know what, Dave? I think that is exactly it. And it's kind of, you just treat all jobs as equal. Everything is a challenge. Everything's an opportunity. I mean, even as I'm saying, it sounds a bit of a cliche, but it really is true.
I don't think it is at all. I mean, well, look, there are reasons that things are cliches.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are just cliche, and some of them are real.
And I like to think of it also, that thing is like, the way you do one thing in life is how you do everything. And it's like, okay, so I put so much into that job, and I kind of literally thought, okay, well, that's, there it is. That's great. And no, you know,
It's
we send
done,
it off.
nobody will see it,
It's
nobody will
done.
talk about it.
And now I need to get back to these other projects. And that was an extraordinary experience being in China. And then it just took off, and it was BAFTA nominated, and it was.
You got a couple nominations for that, right?
Yeah, I got visual effects nomination for that, which was great, and it won. I mean, it won a lot. I can't remember if it won best foreign film, best cinematography, best production design.
It won a ton of things.
It won a ton of things.
Yeah,
and
what an amazing thing to be a part of. But like you said, but the thing that I like about that story is you didn't put the extra time in because you were like, this is going to get me a nomination. Everybody in the world is going to see this, blah, blah. You put it in because you wanted to do your best work, you know, which I think is what makes everybody great is you just go, I'm given this and I want to elevate it in whatever way I can. And the rest is out of my hands, right?
The rest is out of my hands.
If nobody's ever going to see this movie, it has nothing to do with me, but at least the people who are going to see it are going to see the best work that I can do.
Yeah.
Which I think is what, you know, sets people apart.
Yeah. What was kind of funny, actually, I remember because when at the BAFTA ceremony, I was sitting at the next table to the Almost Famous table because visual effects weren't up for it, but it was there, and it's like, I'm freaking sitting next to Elton John. I mean, Elton John is literally right behind me.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and there's Goldie Hawn, and it was another. Okay,
oh my
it's
gosh.
a great Hollywood moment.
Yeah,
okay,
that's fantastic.
You know,
Oh, that's so great.
But,
so I don't want to keep you too long because we've both had a long day and whatever, but I do have a couple of questions. Theoretically, this podcast is about operating. So I will ask you this. When you come on, as an operator, as a new operator, you know, someone who's coming to the business, like what, is there anything they can be aware of that helps you with your job? Or, I mean, it used to be like I said, it's like nail everything down and get the angle and they don't do that anymore. Nobody cares about it. Do whatever you want. But I mean, are there things that help you?
I think that I think it's actually, if I come on and it's, okay, now I'll answer the question.
Yeah.
I think that if an operator does everything well and frames out the things that he knows, okay, well, I need to, you know, just naturally do what you're doing.
Yeah.
It honestly works perfectly for visual effects.
Oh, really?
It's the sort of poisoned. The poison in the brain of it's okay, they can paint it out later.
This was my next question.
Yes.
So we're going to get to that.
is the one where yes, we can paint it out later. I can make it look like you're on Mars.
Yeah.
We can do all of that. There's always time and there's always money involved with it, and oftentimes, having been the guy up to 3 a.m, there's not always the money to cover the time.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have artists who, yes, you can do this. And there will be times that I'll look and I'll know, you know, I think we talked about earlier, the sun's going down. We've got to get this shot. And, you know, you might turn to me and go, do we have to move that? You know, do we have to move the trash can that's in frame?
Yeah.
And I'll look at it, assess it, read the room,
Yeah.
and know we can paint that out. Because in the back of my mind, this is already a visual effects shot because I know we have to fix this, do this intentionally. This is what we had planned.
So it's just one more little piece.
So it's one more little piece.
Yep.
The artist is going to get it anyway. It's not like this is another shot and it's another, you know, click on the meter.
Yep.
And so it's one. And again, hopefully before the fact, we've had the conversation and we've, you know, we've looked at it and we've said, well, we know we're going to do this, going to do this. And I might go, that's my problem right there. Is that tree is my problem.
Yeah.
If we can avoid that, that's great. If you have to have it in, of course we can sort it out. But that would really help if we didn't favor that.
Yeah. So you're helping us by saying these are the obstacles we can avoid that help me.
Yeah.
And whatever. I'll tell you, as an operator, what I tend to try to do is if there's a VFX supervisor on set or whoever's from the VFX department, I'll usually, if I know of it, I'll usually like say hello to them, number one, because I realize like they don't know anybody usually. Maybe
Right.
they know the director, they know
Right.
the producer, but they don't know anybody else. And it depends on who they are. But some of them, like you can go, oh, that's clearly the VFX person because like they're standing off by themselves or whatever.
That's really funny.
But then usually I'll go up to them and go, what do you need anything from us? Like, is there anything we can help? And like today we were doing a thing where we were, it was a snow sequence, and I mean, I think you remember I came over to you and asked you, like, am I seeing off too much? And you were like, no, I'm going to fix that anyway. So it's like, oh, great. So I don't have to worry about nailing that frame.
Right.
But it is that thing that I'm always, and I should say my wife's a VFX artist, so maybe I'm a little closer than some other people to this. And I watch her struggle with things that take too much time, but because she cares about it so much. But there is always that thing where I wonder, like, well, I would do it this way, but if I just did it this way, is it going to save this person 5 hours where they, or whatever?
It's really interesting because I look at it and I know exactly, what you're saying on there. And I look at it from the perspective of hang on a sec, if this is now cramping his shot, and you go, oh my gosh, if you just open out a bit, it's a little more work for us, but now we get that beautiful depth.
But it's
back
better.
there.
It's telling the story better.
This
it's
is
a better
telling
shot
the story,
or whatever. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and that little sliver of the garden back there says, oh, I recognize this. I really know where we are. We are in a suburban, place, whatever. So
that's interesting.
I try and see it always through the storytelling side, knowing
that's wonderful.
Yeah, knowing that these are the constraints. This is the time. This is the money. All of that kind of stuff. But
if you want, I'm going to give you a second or a minute to step on top of the soapbox, because I often wonder, what do VFX artists think when they hear like, oh, there's a button for that, or like, oh, they'll just erase that or something like that? Because the reality is, like, we know that there's no button for that. There's no button that's like take out the backyard fence. There's like no button for that.
Got it. So there's two things that occur to me on this. One of which is when I always feel like someone's spending someone else's money when they say, oh, they'll just erase it. And I'm going, okay, can I take your credit card? Yeah. I would be happy to do it.
That's 12 hours of work.
Yeah, that's 12 hours of work. So they is, well, actually, of course, they is not actually me, but they are, whatever. Yeah. I'll take it as they're me. Yeah. So I do... yes, it sometimes riles me. I think it was just the other night. Some poor guy was said, "Oh, they can CGI that out," and before I knew it, I'd said, "No, they can't," and it was like, just put a little bit of grass over it and it's done. Yeah. What I actually find on that is, I try to in a slightly different way is when I know there's something in frame, I just try and let everyone on the crew do their job. And I know there's someone whose job it is to make sure that's not in frame. Yeah. And, it will go, oh, it's art department's going to be checking it. I know the director's going to have an eye on it. I know you're going to have an eye on it. And the director of photography is going to have an eye. Everyone's staring at this frame. And so I know someone is going to move the trash can. Mm-hmm. And it's like, let them do their job before
jumping in. You're going to move the trash can.
Oh my God, the trash can. And it's like,
yeah, we know.
We've all seen it because we are all staring at it.
But on that note, you also don't want to like at the last minute go, whoa, nobody moved. Yeah, so there's that weird thing, right?
So no, you're absolutely right. It's definitely a timing thing.
Yeah, but I have the same thing, by the way, like where I've said this before on this podcast. It's like there will be a flyaway, a hair coming out of someone's, and I'm thinking, everybody else has a better monitor than I have, so I know they all see this, but nobody's coming in, so maybe I should say something, but I don't want to and then sometimes I'll say it and they'll go, oh God, thank you, we didn't notice that. And then other times I'll say it and they'll go, yeah, we know. And it's just like, okay, well, I just need to make sure that...
you know what? It really is. And as you were saying before, it's reading the room, isn't it? Yeah. There's a little bit of reading the room, and you're looking at it, and it's like you just want, in this case, you just want Bill just right there, and you go...
you want to will it out.
Yeah. And you just... mine with the trash can, I'm also aware that people are looking at very specific things.
Yes.
Someone else is looking at the pack shot, someone else is... Okay, they're looking at the performance, they're looking at that. The background is out of focus to them, and it's like they are staring intently at one part of the screen, and it's Yeah, so I'll go over and I'll either move it myself.
Move it yourself. Yeah.
Or if it's 200 yards away, it'll be in. Yeah. It'll
Well,
be like,
I'll finish that thought by stepping on the soapbox myself and just say to operators, don't get into the habit of going, yeah, everybody's in the reflection, but they'll just take it out. Like, ask people to move out of the reflection. I mean, if the sun's going down and you're screwed, I get it. But if you have time, like, that's what we used to do. We used to go, no, everybody here has to be out of here, and just don't leave it for the VFX artist.
Well, because I mean, as you rightly say, there's a button for it. It's kind of like nothing is automatic.
No.
Nothing is. There's a guy sitting there, and he's not frame by frame, but he is setting this thing up. It's one more thing for him to do. And the way I look at it is, okay, you've got a finite amount of time, and he's got, okay, let's say he's got, the sky to fix, say what we're doing today. He's going to make the snow look nice. He's going to, clean up all of this. That's where you want it. It's going to make the shot more beautiful.
You want to elevate it.
You want to elevate it as opposed to just fix it.
Yep.
And it's, so it is. It's how do you use the resource? And you go, why are you wasting it on this stuff which would have taken 10 minutes, 5 minutes to move, whatever.
But it grates on my nerves when people go, there's a button for that.
It really does. I think also being referred to in the third person when I'm standing right next to them
another issue.
Is the other one.
They, you mean him? He's they. But, so, well, this has really been eye-opening and interesting. I really appreciate it. I'm going to leave you with the question that I leave everybody with, and you can answer it however you would like. Someone getting into the business today, I don't know, 20 years ago.
That's kind of you.
Wishing you knew something that you know now. What advice do you have for just anybody in this business on how to succeed?
You have to be passionate about it. You can't be under any illusion that it's an easy industry or it's glamorous. In a conversation like this, I can say, I sat next to Elton John. But that is a minuscule part of the number of hours when I haven't sat next to Elton John. I think it's. I think visual effects is undergoing a big transition point. It's the one part of the industry that is not unionized, and I think that unfortunately there's a lot of artists have suffered because of that. It's what we do is difficult and it's exciting and it's again, I think I've got a love-hate relationship with it, but I think that I think otherwise they're just sort of general life things. It's like be curious, go into it like I said on the Crouching Tiger, note is just treat everything as you just do your best. Again, it's another life lesson, really, isn't it? It's just you do your best, you put everything you can into it. And I think there's also keep everything in perspective is the other one, is you can't get too stressed about it, and it's but I think, as I was saying earlier, there's that thing, it's a great industry. It's you get up and it's miserable. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, you're freezing cold, and you're on the side of a mountain and the sun comes up and you go, what other industry could I be in? I would never have been in this spot at this time if I wasn't in this industry doing this job. And of course, then you get paid for it as well, which is good. As far as being successful in it, I don't know. It's timing, it's luck. I do think one of the things is don't burn bridges. That could just be more of my personality, but I found that one, I'm still in touch with people from my very first job, and I still will get recommended for work through them, and so that's always held me in good stead. So I don't know if there's anything to glean from that.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We'll be back soon with another great episode. Don't forget to check us out on theop.io for all sorts of information on operating and storytelling. So thanks for listening and have a great day.